My husband would have the covers up to his neck as if he is cold, and he'd be sound asleep and sweating, like
Yeah.
just sweating. I had to literally wake him up, and there have been nights where I'm like, babe, get out the bed. You need to go wipe yourself down, but you are literally wet. Like the sheets will be wet.
She's not exaggerating, actually. It has happened.
I'm
many
so
times.
serious.
This is going to be one that might step
Yeah,
on some toes. It
yeah.
will. Okay, sleeping in separate beds. So I wanted to, I found a study, and this one was from sciencealert.com. And I'm going to just kind of skip around a little bit, but this one was actually from this year. Let's see. So they did a survey of 1,000 people in this particular, and I don't know who the company, the researcher was, but it was talking about sleeping with a partner. And what they said was that your brain doesn't shut down. I think everyone knows that when you're asleep. But they're saying that sleeping with a partner, the sound of snoring, tugging on blankets, bumping of limbs, all this stuff that happens, you are registering it, and yet it's possibly not the thing that's interrupting your sleep. And they're saying new research suggests that sharing a bed might actually make you feel better, like you've had a better night of rest. However, sleeping with a child can actually lead to greater insomnia, according to the study, which is interesting. And I agree with that 100%.
I agree with that 100%.
The few times we've had to sleep with JJ in the same bed, I have not slept. I was extremely tired waking up.
Well, it's hard because, one, you're conscious of this little person in the bed, so you don't want to roll over him, you don't want to hurt him, and then he's wild and he's kicking you in the back, so yeah, you're not getting any rest.
Yeah, so I agree with that one. But anyway, the people who in this study said that they reported less fatigue and ability to fall asleep faster and sleep longer when sleeping with their partner. Group also had lower depression, lower anxiety, and lower stress scores than those who slept alone. Sleeping with a romantic partner or a spouse shows to have great benefits on sleep health, including reduced sleep apnea risk, sleep insomnia severity, and overall improvement in sleep quality. That came from a psychiatrist from the University of Arizona. Now, what they don't know is whether the improvements came from co-sleeping or because of the actual romantic relationship they had with the person. So there's another article, and I'll get to that in a second. But one thing I want to tackle here is that while researching, I found another article that said that without even negating that one, was that I think something like 60% of people who slept together.
How many percent?
Something like 60% or something like that. And I'm trying to remember exactly how it was worded because the wording is very important here. But it was like reported not sleeping well, and it was more so on the side of those who were sleeping with a partner rather than those who slept alone. And it's like, okay, well, that's two competing, and that happens all the time when you have research. Take research with a grain of salt, because depending on who did the study, how they did the study, you can get different things. And I want to come back to that in a second. This other article from Neuroscience News. This one, they did 12 heterosexual couples, 4 nights in a sleep lab. They did a real comprehensive test on their brain. And again, it's key because it keeps going to the brain, and they're saying that their REM sleep was increased. That's that rapid eye movement sleep, that good sleep. It was less disrupted in couples sleeping together than those individually, and that they even started synchronizing their sleep patterns. Okay, what does all that mean? And we're going to get to our opinions in a second, but I want to tackle all that. But what I'm thinking, just based on what I'm seeing there and based on our own experiences, and we're going to share an experience that we're having right now actually on this topic. But what I'm gathering is, scientifically speaking, it's good for the brain to sleep with someone in the bed. But it seems
Hopefully
like
I'm
saying,
your spouse.
And I say it that way, but I'm saying is, but it seems like the impact of whether or not you are actually getting a good sleep in that scenario is your relationship with that person.
Yeah.
And that needs to be your romantic partner, and in our opinion, your spouse. But I think if you don't have a tight relationship with your spouse, then you're going to be one of those people not having a good sleep and feeling like it'd be better off being alone because you're not actually in a position of love or caring or affection for this person. And which could lead to a lot of people wanting to sleep separately because they don't really like the person that they're sleeping with.
Yeah, so if you have a high annoyance list with your spouse, you're not likely want to sleep with
Exactly.
them.
You're probably not to be comfortably because you probably got a whole lot of stresses and anxieties. They mentioned reduced sleep apnea and things like that. And I do know there are people who are like, well, the reason I sleep in a separate bed from my spouse is because they have sleep apnea and I can't get any sleep and they're snoring. And we've dealt with that ourselves, the snoring part, because I snore. Do I snore all the time, or is it just most of the time, some of the time?
All the time-ish.
All the time-ish.
So most of the time you do snore, especially if you fall on your back. It's like,
when I'm on my back,
So I have to shove him over and nudge him, and he'll turn over, but then he doesn't stay over.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
And I will talk about techniques there in a second. But so yes, so they say, well, that's why we sleep separate. So here's what we're going to say. First disclaimer: we understand there are people dealing with medical things that just straight up prevent you from sleeping in the same bed. I don't know what those scenarios are, but don't get offended by that if you're in a very special scenario. But for everybody else, even with things like snoring, because that can be a medical thing, here's my take on this. And it's the same take that I have on marriage. There are people who run away from marriage and say, I don't want nothing to do with marriage because people are unhappy, they get divorced, and it's just chaos. I'd rather just stay unmarried. Okay, just because a lot of people are doing it wrong doesn't mean that marriage is bad. Marriage has great benefit if you're doing it correctly. But if you're doing it incorrectly, then yes, you would rather not be married. And the same thing with sleeping with your spouse. Here's what I say. If there are issues that's making it that you would rather sleep apart, fix the issues. Don't make the sleeping with the spouse the problem yet. I would first evaluate, okay, what is it that's making me not want to sleep with you? Is it the temperature? Is it the snoring? Is it the, we start sweating because our bodies are too close? Is it not enough cuddling or too much cuddling? Whatever it is, I would want to start knocking down all those issues one by one and fight to sleep together because the benefits outweigh those
well,
other
let's
things.
talk about the benefits again. You know, I want to say that for me personally, I like sleeping with my husband.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel safer. I do feel more calm and at rest when he's lying next to me. There have been times when he's been gone out late or something like that, and I've been, you know, home by myself and he's not there, and it's like I'm not really awake. I mean, I'm not really asleep.
Mm-hmm.
I am awake, and because he's not there next to me. So there's a lot of, like you said, comforts of being next to your spouse. And when you really love your spouse, it just makes it even better. And for us, I can remember before we got married, because we did have this mentality coming into our marriage that we did not want a lackluster marriage. Mm-hmm. And I don't like seeing couples that are not affectionate to one another. Mm-hmm. Like, it bothers me. I've heard a lot of couples that sleep in separate beds, and for some, they sleep in separate rooms. Like, I had grandparents that used to live with us when I was younger, and they slept in separate bedrooms. That's really strange to me. And it's like, I know for a fact there was no intimacy going on there, but they were so opposing of each other and their habits and stuff, they could not even be in the same room. So can you imagine the divide in their relationship? Like, and then, you know, later on in life, learning more things about them, I understood why that was the way it was. But nonetheless, we didn't want that for our marriage. So we are constantly practicing even just the art of touching one another. That in itself can bring comfort, and it does something to your endorphins and your connection to one another. Holding hands, kissing, rubbing, those type of things, it really helps bring a bond in your relationship. You may not immediately feel or see what's happening when you do those things, but it is healthy for you.
Well, that's the thing. You can go so long without something that you don't know that it's actually more beneficial. Kind of like when people who never exercise, start exercising and eating right, they say, wow, I feel so much better. My health is better. I breathe better. I sleep better. I have more energy. I have better sex now, anything like that. But before, you felt fine on the couch, eating chips, watching TV. You felt okay. You didn't feel like there was anything wrong until you sensed what was better. And so what I want to say is sleeping in separate beds is a symptom of separation that I notice with couples. Yeah. It's like, okay, because that's not the only thing it happens with. It happens with finances too. We keep our finances separate, it's like you find these differences that y'all have, and rather than finding out how do we compromise and unify, come together and be one flesh, like the word says, and instead you say, well, know what? We'll just keep that part of our lives separate. So we'll keep our bank account separate. We'll sleep separate. We'll have different schedules. I'll go to this church. You go to that church. And eventually it's like at this point now you're roommates.
Yeah, you're practicing divorce right there.
Yeah, you don't share anything anymore. And so that's why I'm personally so adamant about sleeping in the same bed, because I'm not allowing any aspect of our marriage to have this separation. And when you see those separations, attack them, because it's symptoms of a problem, or it can snowball into a larger problem. And again, I'm sure there's people sleeping in separate beds saying, what makes my marriage better? It's all about what is good or better to you. Yeah. Because what if you find out that it would actually be better if you had found a way to stay in the same bed and sleep together, and there's something that you're missing out on now. See, you had the discord of maybe it was snoring. then you got the peace because you're separated, and so you see, oh, well, the peace is better than the discord. But just because you came up with a solution, does that mean that was the best solution? Now, I'm not in your marriage, I'm not in your house, but keep your mind open to that possibility that the solution you came up with may not have been the best one. You could be missing out on something here.
Yeah, so we don't want to miss out on anything by being separate. We don't want to make that our comfortability zone. And again, we know we have different opinions about this, but we fight really hard to make sure that we are unified in this area of sleeping. Now, I realize that snoring can be a distraction.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it has kept me up many nights with your snoring.
Yep.
But we talk about it and we're working on it, and things have improved and things like that. There's other things like I like to sleep cooler than he does. Like I get hotter. Like I get hot, and he is hot.
Yeah.
Like
I put off heat.
He puts off heat. Now I've talked to other wives, and I don't know if it's just a man thing, but it literally I can go like this, and I can feel the heat just coming off of his body, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Like a nuclear reactor.
I mean, what? I don't know. It's so annoying. My husband, y'all, I'm telling on him today. My husband would have the covers up to his neck as if he is cold, and he'd be sound asleep and sweating, like just sweating.
When I went to sleep, I was cold. And at some point, something changed. I guess the heat reactor started up.
Like, that doesn't wake you up, though.
And then I started sweating.
But it doesn't wake you up. You are still asleep. I had to literally wake him up. And there have been nights where I'm like, babe, get out the bed. You need to go wipe yourself down, because you are literally wet. Like the sheets will be wet.
She's not exaggerating, actually. It has happened.
I'm so
times.
serious. So
I don't really get why it happens that way, but it does.
But that's how hot he gets. So he's making me hot.
Yeah.
And then there are times where he wants to cuddle, he wants to spoon, you know. And I love spooning. Like that's my favorite thing to do. But when he's at that temperature, I'm like, babe.
But what's funny is we feel completely two different temperatures in the bedroom. She likes it like feeling cold. And so I don't like that.
It's good for you. It's good.
I know that.
It's healthy.
And that's fine. But I just don't like it. And so that's why I put the covers up. But then for some reason, this mysterious thing happens where the heat kicks in me, I guess, to defend me from the cold. And then I start sweating and it causes problems. So
I think it's body fat percentage.
Maybe so. But we have just vastly different feelings of temperature. I'm usually walking around the house like, it's cold in here. And you're like, no, it's comfortable. So, hey, you can thermostat is like probably the chief argument in most marriages.
Oh, for sure.
So we have a lot of, we're saying to say, we have a lot of reasons to easily separate when it comes to sleeping together. And so now I want to talk about solutions. As far as my snoring thing, let's talk about that. One thing I tried, and I haven't done this recently, I really don't know why, but I tried was putting a pillow at my back so that it would keep me in the side position. It seemed to work a little bit, but for whatever reason I didn't keep up with it. So the jury's out on whether or not that would have solved it long term, but it did keep me from going on my back sometimes, I noticed, so that I would, and I'll start snoring then. I don't get offended when she wakes me up to turn me on from snoring because I understand, okay, it's keeping you awake. The other thing is, but on top of that, we have talked about many times, and it's on our list of things to tackle, and it's something you have to do in marriage. Like, stuff has to be worth it.
Yeah.
And for it to find, for me, finding out, okay, why am I snoring? There's something medical going on. It's something that can be corrected, something we can do differently, because it matters. And will it cost money? Probably.
It's all about feeling what's worth the investment.
Exactly.
Like we invest in our marriage when we go to EXO conferences or we go to counseling or things like that. That's an investment, and you have to pay for those things.
Yes.
So this is to us, it's investing in our marriage. It's investing in our health. So we don't quarrel about, well, it's going to cost X amount of dollars, or it's not worth it. You need to deal with it, or I'm going to sleep in the next room. It's like, no,
it's worth it.
We're not going to let money get in between us, because we need this for us to have a good marriage.
And we believe, we've talked about money on this channel before, we believe that God provides for us, and He has every time in our marriage. And when we prioritize the things He tells us to prioritize, including this marriage, He provides the way for it to get done. And that's how we've prospered in our lives, by having that mentality, by not running away from problems just because they might be expensive. And so then there's the temperature thing. We saw this invention on Instagram. We haven't gotten it, so I don't know if it works, but it's supposed to be something you put under the cover, and it can make one side of the bed cool or one side of the bed warm, so that if y'all have two different temperatures y'all prefer, y'all can sleep in the same bed but have the two different temperatures.
Well, they actually have mattresses now.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
Where that has that, when one side can be cooler, one side can be warmer. So we may have to invest in that.
And I want to use my example. My parents, at one point, I heard they had gotten a mattress that could, like, elevate, whatever like that, because one of them snored, and so it was like they could do the button while the other one was still asleep and push them up so that they would stop snoring, but they would stay asleep and it would be good. So I'm serious, like we live in a very technological society. You can find a way. Where there's a will, there is a way. Or maybe you're going to be the one to invent something, and it's $1 million idea, and then your family lives easy on it while trying to prioritize and solve this problem. So I'm serious. This is the way we think. And for some people, I know it's just like your mind doesn't even go that far to think in those terms. But that's how we think, and it's working. And but then there's the actual bed itself. Okay. And so your bed just may be a problem. And that's historically been a problem for us. We'll get a bed, it works for a little while, and then it's like, okay, this is uncomfortable now. And we're actually in a season right now, this very moment, with an uncomfortable bed. It lasted us for a few years, but now it's like, okay.
It's time
so if you're watching, drop something in the comments for us. What is a good brand of mattress? So that we know our next purchase.
But here's the thing. Here's the deets, though.
Yeah.
I like firm.
Yeah.
I don't like soft beds. I like a really firm mattress. I don't know what you really like. I don't know. I feel like you can sleep on anything.
And yeah, that's probably true. I think I do prefer firmer mattresses. I'm like you in that way. But if it's not a firm mattress, I have gotten pickier though as we've been married. I feel like you're picking this rubbed off for me a little bit because I have gotten more.
Really?
Yeah, I have gotten more whatever. Because even now in this bed, I was fine with it, but there are a couple nights where my back was hurting, and I was like, okay, this isn't working anymore.
Okay.
So it's starting to rub off.
Well,
but in general, I can sleep through anything a little bit better than she can.
Yeah, you can sleep on rocks and you be all right. But I really like a firm bed. I don't like my body to be sinking down and dipping and stuff. I really like firmness. Also, it needs to be ventilated.
Yeah.
Like I need air to constantly flow and things like that. So that's where we're in right now. We're mattress shopping. So again, if you have some ideas for us, let us know.
Yeah. But even with that, we decided so we came with another solution that involved, but it kept us sleeping together in the same place and not being separate.
I can remember like when I was pregnant with JJ and those last few weeks of my pregnancy, I could not sleep in the bed because I was so uncomfortable. Y'all know, ladies, if you've been pregnant, you know what I'm talking about. So I had to sleep out on the couch. And now we're in our apartment, so we're not that far away from each other. But it was like, I don't want to be here by myself. So he literally, we got an air mattress, and he lay down on the floor next to the couch so we could be in the same space. Now that's just us. I know some people like y'all corny, that's too extreme, whatever. But we like being in the same space, especially.
And we think it is actually important.
It's very important.
Valuable.
I can't tell you how many intimate conversations that's helped heal our marriage just by being in the bed talking, you know. And we ain't even talking about just the whole lovemaking thing. Like, when will you have opportunity to spark that if you're not in the same space? And I'm gonna be honest with you. When you have a 9-to-5 job, you are away from each other most of the day anyway. And if you got kids, you know, you're attending to that. Most people only spend a couple of hours a day together, okay? So, and then we're gonna sleep, hopefully 8 hours of that day away as well. So how many hours are you literally spending together? Not very many. So now you're going to take away sleeping together. So this is why people struggle with communication. People don't know each other. And before you know it, you look at that person, you're like, who are you? You changed.
The worst thing is when you get comfortable being apart.
Yeah.
You get comfortable living separate lives and you prefer it. But just because you prefer something or you feel like what you can call peace and be comfortable with it, it doesn't mean that it's good. It doesn't mean that it's better. Okay? Again, like in that example, you feel good eating them chips on the couch, watching TV, and doing that for 20 years straight. But at some point, it catches up with you.
It does.
And that can happen in your marriage. Just because you feel better and comfortable and you gotten used to being apart, it doesn't mean that it's better. It does not mean that it's healthy, just like sitting on that couch eating the chips. And so what I would encourage you to do is really, really focus and pray about, okay, what can we do differently to fight for our right to sleep in the same room and in the same bed, and get creative. Like, we got creative. She was on the couch, I was on the air mattress. We got creative. It may look different for you, but figure it out. Make it a point and get and allow that creativity to come into play, and work on the health of your bedroom, the way that it's set up. Okay, there are certain things that need to be done differently. We actually started doing a lot of these things. Putting the phone somewhere else, either on the other side of the room or in a separate room, so it's not on your bedside, easy for you to check, so that you can actually calm your mind down. Take a few minutes, turn everything off before bed, and begin to let yourself calm down. There's actually studies about kind of like circadian rhythms where you bring yourself down from all the stuff. If you're on your phone up until, okay, good night, then that's part of why you're not sleeping well.
And you're not connecting with your spouse.
Exactly,
at the
that
same
too.
time.
So decide a new rule: 30 minutes to an hour before bed. We're going to stop, turn everything off, bring the lights down low, take away all blue light.
Yeah.
They call it electronic lights, and we're going to talk, and we're going to just be in each other's presence. Play some music, breathe, do breathing exercises, whatever you want to do. Pray, get some worship music, some instrumentals. We like sleeping to storm sounds a lot, so we'll turn that on our home or Google Home and play thunderstorm sounds and go to sleep to that. Whatever, figure it out and do things
And
to
turn my
change the
fan on.
atmosphere. Yeah, turn the fan on.
Turn my fan on.
And change the atmosphere of your room and invest in it and make it work. And it's worth it. It really is. So that's where we stand on sleeping in separate beds. No, we think you should stay in the same bed. We understand a lot of people won't necessarily agree with that, but that's where we stand. We're going to stand on that hill.
I mean, again, we realize that some people have medical issues to reasons why they can't share the same bed, and that's fine. Do what you have to do for those reasons. But if there's any way you can be in the same room, space with your spouse, then you need to make that happen.
And if you got medical issues that are resolvable and you're just not resolving them, go resolve them. I'm serious. 'Cause we use that excuse a lot. Like, oh, well, it's for this. Okay. Is it something that can be changed by lifestyle, by diet, by behavior? Is there anything that can be affected or changed by the way that you live your life? I think that's worth it. I think it's a worthy investment to find out. Okay, I'm just saying that. I feel like there's enough we hide behind the medical issues and things like that, and use that as an excuse to just not try. But if it's resolvable and there's something that exists that can assist and help you, go for it. Try it.
Absolutely.
I believe it's worth it. So that's where we stand on the issue.
So we sleep in the same
bed.
bed.
Yes, we are.